I have played all No Money Spent each year in MLB The Show for the last 3 years. Diamond Dynasty is actually a really great mode because it really does reward people who do play the game regularly, who are actually smart with their stubs and play it this way. It is currently the day after the game launched, just about over 24 hours since the game came out. So today I'm going to share my strategies for playing No Money Spent the first week of the game. What players am I using? What modes am I playing? How do I make my stubs? What do I spend my stubs on? I'm going to go through each one of these things today to help you all get a start as a No Money Spent player. There are a few things that I do definitely need to make clear about playing No Money Spent off the rip. This is my strategy. You can follow exactly to a T if you want. You can do whatever you want off this strategy. At the end of the day, playing No Money Spent is what you make of it based on the amount that you play, what modes you like to play, and so on. This is just what I like to do. It is 100% okay to do what you want. If you have anything valuable that you learned, definitely let me know in the comment section. And feel free to share with other people who are watching this series as well, because this is definitely going to be a valuable hub to share our No Money Spent experiences, offer tips and insight about how we all go about it. But even if you aren't No Money Spent, there are still some valuable tips to take off of this, because playing this way is really going to reward you for your time spent on the game. It's a great way of being smart with stubs, being efficient with the players that you actually use on your team, and getting those collections done as soon as possible. But now let's go through my strategy and all of these individual things that I'm doing this first week of the game. So from square one, when you first get the game and you have that really bad bronze team, first thing you want to do is open up all of your pre-order packs and anything that you can do off the rip. I talk about this a couple times, but do that at the very beginning. Get it out of the way before you do anything, so you can get an idea of what players you need, what players you have so far, and maybe you can get a lucky diamond pull, which can really help you with that stub count. Speaking of such, I end up selling the pre-order cards that I got. The diamond pre-order pack that I got for the $100 edition, both that and the cover athlete cards, sold them so I can get some stubs in my inventory. The reason I want to get some stubs in my inventory rather than keep these cards is because these cards in the grand scheme of the game right now are 88 overalls. They're maybe usable in the very beginning of the game at this current state, but right now at this moment, I don't think there's much value in holding on to them. So getting those stubs in your inventory can allow you to invest, flip on the market, and use those stubs for a better long-term purpose of the game. And then we can pick up these cards in a little bit when they get cheaper in certain avenues, or when we get these things done. Speaking of flipping, I am going to be going onto the market and flipping a good bit this week. See, I have 111k stubs right now. I haven't done much of it yet, but I do plan on tackling a bit. Basically, the concept of flipping is you go to a card that has a really big gap between the buy now and the sell now price. It doesn't matter if it's a player or equipment or perks. You want to make sure that there is a good gap between these two buy now and sell now price. Keep in mind there is a 10% tax, so you're taking that number and taking 10% off. So say with Luis Robert, I wouldn't suggest flipping him, but we'll just use him as an example. I would try to buy him at that 75,000 price point, put in a buy order here for that 75,551. Then whenever I eventually get him, I would put him up to sell right around that 175,000 price point. The goal is to use the differentials in the market to make stubs and take advantage of the people who are buying now and selling now and get some extra stubs for us. And this is passive income. You could do this with a lot of orders, put them on the side and come back to it, and do it in between games. And you don't have to sit here staring at the market all day. You can also do it on the MLB The Show companion app, which is really helpful. However, I'm not really great at this yet. I don't do much flipping. In years past, I wouldn't do it. But this year, it is gonna be something I learn. In next week's episode, I'll actually get more tips for you on this, because it is relatively new to me to do this consistently, and I'll definitely want to give my feedback for you then. Speaking of which, make sure you are subbed to keep up with this entire series. I will be giving my No Money Spent tips and strategy for the entire year, at least to the point where I feel everyone has good teams, so there's not much benefit to talking about it. Also, ShowZone actually is a really good tool for seeing which cards you should flip. Go to showzone.io, and they have a tool where you can see the most valuable cards to flip right now. It's based on how many transactions are going down, so you want cards that are being sold, but you also want cards with those good differentials between the buy now and the sell now. So make sure you check that out if you are trying to get a feel for it as well. Okay, so now we have stub counts. We have somewhat of a team at the this point with those beginning packs that we open. What do we do at this point? And there are a few main goals of what we do. We want to build our team with cards that are free to earn, sell whatever rewards we can so we can get more stubs and then use those stubs for other purposes. And we're going to be doing these things in a couple ways. I think the best way to build your team is going to be through this featured program. Off the rip, it's the face of the franchise. If you're getting the game later, it may be something different than this. But basically with these programs, you're going to get a bunch of free to earn cards. In this one, we have gold, legends, and flashbacks, which could be good cards to start your team off with. And you also get some rewards, XP that is, for using them and getting their missions done, which is just from parallel XP. You also get these free to earn packs with the face of the franchise cards. These diamonds are no sells, so you may as well use them on your team. If we do work towards this program, we could also get the choice packs where we could actually sell them. And if we get these choice packs early enough, these might be pretty valuable at that point, especially with the right names. And we could use this as another avenue to get some stubs for us and just use some other players instead. But again, this is entirely up to you. You could do what you want with this. If you want to keep these players, no harm in it because you are earning them for free. Just we gotta weigh all these things on whether we keep or sell players for stubs at this point. Since we are going to be grinding this program to earn our players, you'll see these initial tasks you don't need a specific team to do. A lot of these things are just completing this basic program, doing the showdown. You don't need a team to do this. This is a great way to start getting this progress. If you want to know the full tips of what I recommend for this program, make sure you check out this video up here on the channel. I actually made it yesterday giving my tips on how to get XP and beat this. But if you watch that video, you remember I mentioned once you get these basic tasks done, you have some freedom in what you do. You can play whatever mode essentially that gives you XP to get back into this. So you have some choices. If you feel confident as a player and with your team you could hop online and play ranked or events where you actually use this team. If you feel good with your stub count, maybe got some lucky pulls, then you could hop into BR and work on this BR program, do a few drafts and so on. If you aren't confident with your team, that is okay. I'm in that state right now because I have a bunch of golds. I recommend staying offline, whether you're playing mini seasons or you hop online. Whether you're playing mini seasons or you're playing Conquest, getting the free packs in here, I'd recommend doing one of these two things mainly because you're gonna get a bunch of rewards, XP, stubs, and you're just playing offline. By the way, if you are playing mini seasons, I know there are a bunch of goals, including some Hall of Fame goals. At least the first time you play it, it may be valuable to play in Hall of Fame, but I do recommend, especially with a not so good team, keep this on All-Star or below. Especially if you're brand new, play on like veteran difficulty. Make it less stressful on yourself because this mode can be a little tough. And if you do want some tips on how to beat these Conquest maps, I do have another video as well that I covered, giving you Conquest tips on the channel, so make sure you watch that as well. But now, that is what we'll be doing. We start off with our initial team, and we'll be playing these modes and getting rewards, and ideally selling these rewards, or just doing whatever we can to keep these players so we can build up the stub count and build up the team. That is the goal. So if you play these offline modes, like the US Conquest map or mini seasons, you'll get some diamond cards you can use on your team. Actually, you can throw them on your team, and that's perfectly okay. You get these choice packs with the prospects, which again could be a good source of stubs, or we can keep them for that prospect collection. It is really up to you. And basically what you want to do is just play the game, earn rewards for free, and you either keep the players you can on your team or sell whatever you can and make the most stubs as possible. Me, I'm probably going to sell as much as I can. I want to maximize my stubs in these different modes. Speaking of these stubs, I've been really saying in this video we need to build up the stub count, and there is a big reason why I'm suggesting that. Right now, these first couple weeks, these live series high diamonds are pretty cheap. Like Acuna being only a couple 100,000 really isn't that bad. These players could get pretty expensive if we let them sit in the market and we don't buy them. So the goal is building up this stub count right here, trying to buy the high overall live series players as fast as possible, throwing them on our team right now and locking them in for collections before they get stupid expensive. These cards can get ugly once we get to the first month or two in the year. So I want to tackle them right now, put them on my team right now and use them, but also throw them in collections before they get too expensive. Any sort of live series diamond that isn't a 90 plus, you probably want to sell because they are a little bit more expensive than they likely will be. Like we have 88 overalls for like 30k. That might be a little bit much. They might go down a little bit in price, which I think is a good thing if we just wait and be patient because these are like the first diamonds people are trying to get for their team because they're not that expensive. As time goes on, more people will be trying to sell them, I guess. So we're going to tackle the high overall diamonds, the 90 plus diamonds, try to get them done as soon as we can because they are rarer in standard packs. Sell the other cards that we get, allocate those stubs, getting those out of the way. Now, once we get these cards, we can hop into a mode like ranked or events or whatever and flip it on its head and now start tackling those teams based on who we have. But the goal is to get these cards right now, and we're doing this to try to get our live series collections done as soon as possible. When you collect every live series card for each team, division, and so on, this is the time of the year to get these cards and use them. This is where they're going to be most relevant. So we want to tackle this ASAP, make this our #1 goal, because not only are these cards going to be also valuable to our teams and building them, they're going to be really valuable for collections, for legend and flashback collections. Last year in MLB 21, we had a bunch of legend and flashback collections where basically you collected cards, collected a bunch of them, and you would get like a Mookie Betts and a Mariano Rivera. And those would be very valuable at that point. So starting off with this is a good time to do it. Do it right now, get it out of the way. Then when we get the live series collections done, we can start tackling some of these like the cover athletes or the Takashi cards, you know, start getting these cards to throw in the inventory and giving a go. But we really want to be smart, tackle those live series collections first. And final point I do want to mention, this really is a grind mentality. This is really taking no money spent to the limit and trying to do this as fast as possible. And again, it's not for everyone. Not everyone wants to play the game with these lower overall cards and go through this grind experience, and that is 100% okay. You playing no money spent is exactly what you make of it, and these are just tips and direction of what I'm doing to give you suggestions of what you want to do. You could do this exact thing yourself. You could go about and take a few things that I mentioned in this video and warp it to whatever you want to do in the game. It is entirely up to you, and that is perfectly okay. Let me know in the comments what you in specific do as a no money spent player, and we could discuss these things in the comments in my Twitch streams, and we could also just bounce all these ideas off each other. Make sure you tune into next week's episode. If it's up right now, I'll have the playlist up here for my no money spent series. We're going to be covering flipping in more detail, going through my strategy and what I've been flipping, and giving you feedback on my experience and how I made stubs. See how the team is looking at that point. Hopefully we have a couple live series high diamonds, and just the individual strategy I took that I may not have mentioned in this video. So make sure you check that out when that drops. But I appreciate you all watching. You all have a great rest of your day. No Money Spent is going to be a great series here, and I'm very excited for it. I'll see you all again another episode of this series next week. Deuces.